This video is brought to you by my awesome Patreon supporters. To help support my work, keep my videos ad-free, and get rewards, follow the link in the description below. You can then select a tier depending on your budget, and every little bit helps. Thank you. Cool. So this game was generously sent in by one of my patrons, and I'm going to do a quick review on it for him. Probably put the video online. It's a 15k game versus a 13q game. Our hero, Adam, is playing black, and he has one stone against white. So there's definitely, I mean, when you're reviewing a lower level game, you can go all day on things that you think are better or worse. But when I review a game, I like taking a few key concepts and really making sure that we absorb those. So a lot of times if I get reviews, or sometimes when I've had reviews in the past, sometimes they'll throw everything at you, everything you did wrong, which is super useful, but it takes a long time to process. So I found that in each of my games, taking one or two good things and really making sure you get the principles and why is better for me. So that's probably what I'm going to do in this game. We're going to do one strategic lesson, one tactical lesson, and one endgame lesson. So we see black open up with a micro Chinese. Pretty cool. White's going to invade. Black is going to go in the correct direction. Going to Hane. Now white continues to push here, which is interesting. Usually we see white do this and complete the Joseki, and then white moves on with his life. Maybe playing a high approach here, trying to mitigate some of his power, develop his own board. In this case, we see white continue to push. We see black actually change directions here and go down this way. And so white gets this. Now, in my opinion, we can actually take this back to the pro game that we just saw, right? When black was on the second line, white just kept pushing him on the second line and creating thickness, because the thickness on the second, even though it didn't work out because Yamayuta is incredibly a beast, in general, letting your opponent crawl on the second line is fine because the thickness you're getting on the outside will be worth way more. So in my opinion, I think it would be worth continuing to play this. Because if white gets this, it's really not, this was what was supposed to happen anyway. But we can see that black can make more points now because he has one extra stone up here. Black gets a few more points in the bottom, but because white gets this move now, white actually is allowed the double Hane here. Because when you said Hane at the head of 2 and 3 stones, the reason for that is because of the liberty problems. Right? So there's liberty issues here. So black actually has to do this. And now white's actually making just as much as black is, to be perfectly honest. So it's actually a very strong shape point. So I would say that in the opening, if your opponent gives you the opportunity to keep him crushed on the second line, do it. Just do it. Nike. Because the power, if we can just follow this through to its conclusion, let's just hypothetically pretend that they're just not, right? Just do that. White invested. This is 10 points. Only 10 extra points. How many points do you think black can make with this whole thing? Right? You want that wall. I want that wall. So if we follow this to its limit, right, its mathematical limit, we want that situation. So if we carry that through and we want that situation, then yeah, keep pushing. Keep pushing, it's fine. So that's sort of like my opening thing. And when you're learning and when you're reviewing games, always try to generalize what you're learning and try to understand not just, oh, I should have done that in this game, but try to understand why should I have done that and in what situations can I apply this to other games. Because that's how you really apply your game reviews to other games. So this happened. White, good direction. I like the direction. I think that's great. Little bit passive, little bit passive. I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I'm going to sweat the big stuff. So we're not going to really worry about some of like the smaller directional misplays here. White could absolutely have done this, but again, we're not going to worry about it. So we see black try to get some area here, which is great. Defending, which okay, sure. Black trying to expand and reduce. I really like the direction. I love the direction that both players are exhibiting. There's some slow moves here and there, but I think they have the right idea as to what they're trying to do with their stones. Black ended up feeling the pain of this liberty shortage. White could have really made black sad here. Those are all forcing, and it could probably have could have killed this black group. Yeah, so be really careful. Be really, 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 really careful about this entire shape situation. You're gonna be finding yourself in it a lot, which is why I wanted to keep pushing up, right? That takes all of these problems out of the picture for the rest of the game. So not only is the wall good, but the shape problems it makes are not fun to deal with. But no one noticed it, so it's fine. Black actually got a great bunch of territory here. White's not going to jump in. Going to very calm. It's a very calm game. I like it. I also like this. I really like how black is trying to develop and keep white pressed down. That's a great basic thing to do. See black kind of laying claim to what's theirs. This is bigger than you would think. Kind of make sure white can't go any further than this. But we see black take his points. More Tsujis for those interested. You don't need to remember it, but like you could invade here. That's a thing. If white tries to be super aggressive, I mean, there's a lot of ways it's fine. Not that way. Don't do that. LOL. I mean, something as simple as that works out. Right? Adam killed it with the Moyo. So you absolutely could just decimate white's corner there. That's fine. Making black take what's his and getting more from here, which is fine. I mean, for that level, that's what you want. White tries to get a little greedy, and I really like our hero's response. Very calm. Minding his shape. He's not afraid to know that that's an overplay and that deserves to be captured, which is awesome. You need to show that backbone. You can't let people get away with stuff that's a blatant overplay, which he didn't, which is awesome. Great liberty shortages, keeping all of his stones connected and captured, so everything is great. Okay. Now, here's lesson number 2. Okay, here's what I really want you to hammer home. And this is something that, if I do say so myself, I feel comfortable with. I feel like is one of my strong points is knowing when to go to endgame and knowing when to take the good endgame points. And that's very difficult. You need experience to know. And I'm not saying I'm amazing at endgame, but I feel comfortable with the endgame. Looking at this board, there's not a ton of Aji left. This group is very clearly alive. Everything is very clearly connected. If there's nothing more to attack and there's nothing more to protect against, you need to start thinking about endgame and thinking about where the most points you can get in Sente are. So I'm going to show you guys something. The way this board is right now, I'm going to score estimate it. On this board, white's winning by 6.5 points. Okay, so black is losing right now. He's counting this for some reason. It's very close. Black is probably losing by like 1.5 points to 2.5 points. Right? Given this? So now I'm going to show you guys, if black took this opportunity to take all the endgame, I'm going to show you the point difference. So we'll start with this one. Threatening to go into black's corner. White responds. All these are Sente, right? Step number 2. Threatens to go in here. All of this is Sente. Because those would be a lot of points. Step number 3. Step number 4. Threatening to double Atari. And if black finishes off with a protection against some of the Aji there for white's push. Now let's do the score estimator again. Okay. White thinks black's all dead. Let's give it a few more moves. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Black wins by 10.5 points. So our endgame gave us, it went from white winning by 6.5 to black winning by 10. That endgame gave us about 13 to 15 points in Sente. 13 to 15 points is huge. That could have very easily be there in Sente. So for all the double-digit Qs, all of those endgame moves that I played were things that you can read out. You know the Hane into the connection, into the whatever. Yeah, you know that Sente move. We do that all the time. Always be on the lookout when it gets to after the middle point of the game. There's nothing more to attack if you can squeeze endgame out of people. Because that really can be the difference between so many games by like a 13-point swing. So that's lesson number 2. Okay, back to the story. How does it end? How does it end for our hero? So instead, black takes 1 point, right? Not as sexy. Not as good. Not as good. So you see people kind of fighting over the middle, which is fine. Got one endgame in there. Here we go. White must be feeling the heat, so gonna try to jump in. And moment of truth. Can black kill? Can black not? I love black's start. It's a good start. Keeping white away from making a base. Great, great. Keeping white from doing anything, really. This seems like it's a piece of cake. I could entertain the idea of poking. But I actually don't think you need to. I think this is fine. Because none of this is eyes. You can make one. Maybe. But that's all. That's the only eye is going to make. White tries to poke. I think he was fine here, but that's okay. That's a thing. You gotta be careful of this. Again, we see this shape issue. The amount of problems this shape gives people throughout the entire course of the game is reason enough to never want to have that happen to you ever, 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 ever. Just don't make it happen, not even once. If you can remember the shape for this game, my work is done. But white instead goes this way, giving black the opportunity to fix that, thank God. So we've survived the first hurdle. Good shape point. Nice. Black's like, I don't give a shit. I got more eyes, then I'm taking yours away too. Where's the eyes? I don't see the eyes. White can make one. Where's the other one? So we know this is probably going to be an eye. I would take this time to make sure white can't get another one. Then everything's good. But black's going to try to keep the pressure on. Defense, defense, more weak groups. Black defends. I could see why you'd be a little scared of that. So this seems like the best option. White's going to attach. And we see it all crash down. To be fair, this throw-in still makes the eye false. And white needed to do that to keep staying in this game. If we do this, then that. And then here. Still dead. Still only one eye. Unfortunately, we go there. And then here. And then he gets this Atari. Now it's me eye. Now it's me eye. If black defends this one. White makes eyes. Also, that's just a self-Atari, so black can't even do that. So black ended up losing this game, unfortunately. He was so close. He was so close. So close. So what lessons can we learn in this fighting? I think he did a lot of things right. I really do. What does black even do here? I guess that still kills it. So black played this move to try to poke out the eye, right? I think the thing that we can learn from this move is that it's okay if they get one eye. Just don't let them have two. If you can give them one eye in exchange for a safer position, do it. Because they can't live with one eye. They can live with two eyes. So here we see black kind of ignoring some of the Aji in the position to try to pop out the one eye that white might get. Even if you do something like this, rather if you did this right away, and white got that eye, then you just defend it. There's nothing to do. White's completely gone. Can't make another one. But it looks like black tried to make sure that white had no eyes ever. And that's where the trouble started. If black did this, right, pulled back here, that's fine. If white gets one eye, that's okay. Sure, white gets an eye here. Fine. But he's still dead. So I think my advice for fighting is basically just it's okay if they get an eye. Make sure you remove the weird Aji places in your position. Instead of trying to keep them on no eyes, if you can keep them on one eye and you've read that that's fine, do it. So, yeah, it was a really great game. I think you did a lot of good things, a lot of great things. Again, keep pushing because this shape issue gave you so many problems. It was worth so many points because it allowed white to expand, it allowed your shape to be weird. Honestly, Celerel, I find the opposite. I find it's always way harder for me to live. I feel like if I'm trying to live, I'm usually not very confident I can do it. And then the endgame lesson. You know, if you have the choice, if everything is settled, everything feels safe, launch into the endgame, get those 10 to 12 points in Sente, and you're golden. And then the last is, yeah, you know, if you get one eye is fine. You don't have to risk your position trying to keep them off of them. So, hope you enjoyed the review. I hope it was educational. Hope it was interesting.